had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house, and he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
Oh, apparently not.
Everything ain't for everybody.
The former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch and two others have been arrested as part of a criminal investigation by the FBI.
The fashion world just got hit with a bombshell that no one saw coming. Fashion moguls Mike Jeffries and Matthew Smith, big names behind the Abercrombie and Fitch empire, have been arrested on federal charges similar to Diddy's case. Now here's where it gets really wild. Rumors have been flying that Diddy might have handed over a list of powerful names to the feds to save himself. A lot of people dismissed it as just gossip, but now after these high-profile arrests, it wouldn't be too surprising. No one expected, though, that the first powerful figure to go down would be former Abercrombie and Fitch CEO Mike Jeffries, one of the most powerful executives in the fashion industry. Jeffries, along with his partner Matthew Smith and an alleged middleman named James Jacobson, has just been hit with federal charges for running a disturbing underground operation involving transferring of people, if you know what I mean. Diddy was also indicted on very similar charges. A coincidence? Maybe or maybe not. Let's dig deeper. Federal authorities are accusing Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson of using manipulation, fraud, and even coercion to forcefully exploit young male models, many of whom thought they were stepping into legitimate modeling opportunities. Sources say Jeffrey hosted these twisted gatherings at his New York mansion, luring guests in with the promise of career-changing modeling gigs, only to find themselves in a dark underworld of serious raw dogging. Diddy's infamous freak-off parties are well known, but it turns out the fashion industry has its own hidden version of these exploitative, substance-fueled events. The FBI first opened an investigation into Mike Jeffries and his associates last year after a shocking BBC report accused Jeffries and his partner of exploiting and using young men at exclusive gatherings held in both their New York properties and luxury hotels around the globe. But here's the twist. For months, they struggled to gather enough solid evidence to build a case. That was until an insider tip dropped into their lap. And now word on the street is that the tip might have come from none other than Diddy himself. Breon Peace, the U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of New York, didn't hold back when breaking down the shocking charges against Jeffries. According to Peace, Jeffries operated a calculated, high-level operation involving a middleman and a network of recruiters who would handpick men for Jeffries and his partner. Peace went on to allege that Jeffries leveraged his position as the powerful CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch to lure victims with promises of opportunity, only to use them to fulfill his and Matthew Smith's darkest desires. This wasn't just about power, it was about dominance, privilege, and exploitation on a mind-numbing level.
He was using his power, his wealth, and his influence to traffic men for his own sexual pleasure and that of his romantic partner, Matthew Smith.
According to Peace, Jeffries and Smith hired James Jacobson to act as a chief recruiter and middleman. Jacobson's role allegedly went beyond recruiting. He reportedly held private tryouts with young, ambitious male models worldwide, testing their willingness to engage in acts in exchange for cash. Once Jeffries and Smith approved, these men were flown out to exclusive New York residences or high-end hotels across the globe for commercial you-know-what.
Jeffries and Smith employed James Jacobson to act as a recruiter to find men. Jacobson engaged in, quote, tryouts with men across the world where he would typically pay them to engage in sex acts with him. Following the tryouts with Jacobson, Smith would often then personally approve whether the men who were selected would meet Jeffries and Smith. The defendants would fly the selected men to Jeffries and Smith's homes in the Hamptons in New York City or to hotels around the world in such places as England, France, Italy, Morocco, and St. Bart's for the purpose of attending events to engage in commercial sex.
Many of these men reportedly had no idea what awaited them. Most had no clue about the nature of things that would be required of them. They were allegedly promised modeling gigs with Abercrombie and Fitch that could be their big break. But upon arrival, they were met with a very different reality. Peace claimed that, with no option to back out, staffers demanded that the models sign airtight non-disclosure agreements, which later served as tools of control and intimidation, ensuring their silence long after the encounters ended.
In an interview process that did not inform the men of the details of the sex events before they attended, including the full extent and nature of the sexual activity that would be required of the men at these events. They caused the men to believe that attending these sex events could yield modeling opportunities with Abercrombie or otherwise benefit their careers.
As the case deepens, the connections between Diddy, the powerful enablers in the industry, and these shocking crimes are becoming harder to ignore. The part where these aspiring models were allegedly coerced to consume spiked alcohol, Viagra, and muscle relaxants speaks volumes about the level of use of power in the entertainment industry. If you recall clearly, this isn't a standalone accusation. Court documents revealed that similar tactics were allegedly used by Diddy with young artists desperate to make it big in the music industry. These troubling parallels are sparking speculation online, with many even theorizing that Diddy might have been directly involved in setting up these so-called freak-out parties for Jeffries and Smith. Adding fuel to the fire, the prosecution has 15 male victims prepared to testify, and they allege that Jeffries funneled millions into ensuring these disturbing operations ran effortlessly and remained secret for years. Investigators suspect that, given the scale of Jeffries' hidden network, there could be countless more victims still out there. While Sean Diddy Combs found himself behind bars without bail, Mike Jeffries managed to secure his freedom with a $10 million bond. The cases bear striking similarities, with both men facing both civil and criminal charges. The main difference, where Diddy allegedly targeted young artists, Jeffries' world of influence revolved around aspiring models. This case would likely have stayed in the shadows if not for groundbreaking investigative work by the BBC. They unearthed chilling accounts from individuals like David Bradbury, a former model, whose shocking testimony became a linchpin for the case. Bradbury recounted how the middleman made it clear that a meeting with the CEO would cost him his dignity. It was like he was selling fame, Bradbury shared in his interview, and the price was compliant. The meeting was eventually set up, leading Bradbury to Jeffries' mansion in the Hamptons, a place he later described as holding dark memories. Bradbury's revelations allowed more victims to come forward, corroborating the chilling narrative. Some allege even more disturbing details, like being injected with liquid Viagra by Jeffries' staff. We thought we'd heard it all when Diddy's secrets were exposed to the world, but it seems we're only scratching the surface of these dark networks embedded within the fashion and entertainment industries. It turns out that the reality of powerful people preying on desperate young talents who are seeking breakthroughs goes way deeper than Hollywood. When you look at these chilling charges against Diddy, Mike Jeffries, and even Jeffrey Epstein, it's clear that the world of pop culture and high society has darker corners than many would dare to imagine. Stories of underground rings in Hollywood have circulated for years, often brushed off as mere conspiracy theories. But now, with more victims stepping forward, it's becoming impossible to deny that something sinister has been lurking in the industry's shadows for decades. And now I want to hear from you. What's your take on these unsettling revelations? Do you think Diddy handed over evidence to implicate Jeffries? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.